Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into the 9th Winter 2023-24 update from GavsWeatherVids. So here we go again, time to bring you more winter data. We're now up to update number 9 for our winter updates, 9 of 13. So we are very rapidly now moving into the business end of the winter updates. And this is going to be a true epic. For the last 2 or 3 weeks we've been pushing the hour mark with our winter update. But I reckon this one might actually go over the hour mark because we've got so much data to show you in this one. I will try and keep it under an hour because I think an hour's too long really to expect people to sit and watch, although there will be breaks along the way, so you could, you know, can go off and stretch your legs and whatnot. But anyway, it's going to be a real epic. So sit back, relax, enjoy. I shall talk you through our 9th winter update in a moment. Please like, share, subscribe if you are enjoying our winter updates. It's unique content. You can't find this anywhere else, not just on YouTube, but online. The depths that we go into with our winter updates, truly unique. And as I said, if you're enjoying this season of winter updates as much as I am enjoying making them, then please can you like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much to Richard, the amazing Richard Trott, our King of Swing, for the incredible winter updates gift. Thank you so much, Rich. I love it. Thank you so much, my friend. Unbelievable. And we're naming the foal, of course, so I'll probably do that in about a week's time. If you've got a suggestion for the foal, for the deer, then please post it in the comments. I'm going to compile all of the suggested names over the past 2 or 3 updates, and we'll put them all on my name picker in about a week or so's time, and we will be naming our deer there to go along with the fox, of course. Thank you so much, Richard. Thank you so much to Shrine Brewing as well for all of the help on this update. So when we get sections where Richard and Shrine have helped with, of course, I will shout them out. And as I say, the first thing you're going to see with this night winter update will be the swingometer from the King of Swing. More about that in a second. Thank you so much to hashtag Team Gav, Richard, and Shrine. And just say that the first video today was our 6 AM UK weather forecast, so check that one out. And also, we're going to be live streaming at 6 PM, so we're going to discuss this night winter update. We'll do 1040 down, and we'll show you plenty of long range from CFS and Copernicus suite of models in that 9th update. Thank you so much, everybody. With all that said, I'm going to crack on with the epic 9th Winter 2023-24 update. Just to calm things down a little bit, as I know it's a little bit hectic starting off there, but I've got to get the intros done to crack on. So the very first thing that you are going to see in this 9th update is the swingometer. This is how our winter updates are looking in terms of whether we're favouring a milder or a colder than average winter as of the end of last week's 8th update. So this is it, everybody, and we're suggesting that the winter updates are favouring up to the end of the 8th update, last week's update. We're suggesting that we are favouring a milder than average winter by 62%. That is a swing of 3% from cold to mild from last week. And we are now favouring with our winter updates up to, remember, this doesn't include this update or yesterday's season 1 roundup. This is up to the end of the 8th winter update, and favouring a milder than average winter by 62%. Thank you so much to Richard. Oh, there's the countdown. Thank you so much, Richard, for our swingometer. And you will see at the beginning of next week's 10th update how the swinger is looking as of 9 updates and 2 seasonal model roundups. Thank you so much to the amazing Richard Traw for that. Unbelievable. Incredible. Thank you so much, my friend. Okay, let's crack on then. And we're going to begin by having a look at some analogues. So we're dealing with October data for this 9th update in terms of the CT and also England and Wales Precipitation. More about CT later on in the video. But starting off with England and Wales Precipitation. So up to the 26th of October, we have seen 135.6 millimetres during this October for England and Wales Precipitation. That is 132% of the average. That's going to go up more over the next few days until months. Now we're expecting it to come out somewhere, I think, about 150 millimetres. And that will actually place us within the top 10 wettest Octobers for England and Wales Precipitation since 1950. And so we're going to be doing a countdown. Start off, we go have another countdown at GavsWeatherVids for our analogs. So we're going to be looking at Winter's right, the top 10 wettest October since 1950. Thanks to Shrine to get all these years together for us. Right, starting off with number 10. It's 2019. And Winter 2019-2020 is the PB of Doom Winter. With high pressure to the south, low pressure to the north, winds in from the southwest. That's a stinker to start us off. 2019-20, exceptionally mild and also very wet. At number 9, we've got 1998. Winter of 1998-1999. Is overall a mild winter as well, but it does have a few cold snaps, but basically a mild 1990s winter with low pressure to the north, high pressure to the south, and, you know, bringing winds off the Atlantic as well. That's another mild winter. At number 8, we've got 1976. So following a long hot summer, we get an exceptionally wet autumn. It does include the 8th wettest October since 1950. And winter of 76, 77 is a front-loaded winter, actually. It has high pressure around Greenland and back into the Arctic. Low pressure is to the south of it. So it's a very unsettled winter. It starts off cold in December and then it gets progressively milder, so culminates in quite a mild February. The cold eventually moves over to the eastern side of America. It's a brutal cold winter for eastern and central parts of America during January and February, particularly February as well. Exceptionally cold and snowy over there. For us, as I say, cold December into January, quite cold as well, but does get mild into February. At number 7, the 7th wettest October is 1950, is 2004. And that's roughly around where we're expecting the October of 2023 to come out as well. So winter 2004-2005 looks like this, with high pressure out to west, low pressure to the south, and a little bit to the northeast as well. So a few cold snaps in the winter of 2004-2005, especially late on. That's quite a long cold snap from the middle of February to the middle of March of 2005. Otherwise, there are protracted milder into as well, includes a white Christmas for the north in 2004. At number 6, we've got 2013. Winter 2013-2014 is very, very wet and also exceptionally mild too. So that's another one to forget. Get my stage long if you want a cold winter. At number 5, we've got 2020. So the winter in 2020-2021 is the teaser winter with all of this blocking away to the north, but the trough of low pressure just doesn't quite ease far enough south to allow that cold air consistently into south. It is a very cold winter for Scotland though, and for England and Wales it does have its moments. So for England and Wales there are cold snaps that come and go, but it could have been so much more if that trough had been just a couple of hundred miles further south. The ultimate of the ultimate teaser winters. At number 4, we've got 1960. The winter of 1960-1961 is generally wet and mild, but I think it does have a colder snap in December. And then we're top 3 now. Number 3, the first wettest October since 1950 is 1967. Winter 67-68 has a lot of cold snaps, has low pressure to the east and has high pressure out to the west with winds in from the north. Generally mild through December of 67, but January and February of 68 do yield some cold snaps. At number 2, we've got 1987, which of course includes Sir Michael Fish's famous hurricane Faux in October of 1987. It's the second wettest October since 1950, and the winter of 87-88 is mild and wet, very mild and wet, brings to an end the long run of cold winters that we have through most of the late 70s and early to mid 1980s. It's the one that sets the trend into milder winters. Have we ever really come out of that? That's up to you to decide. And then at number 1, we've got 2020. No, 2000, sorry. What am I talking about? Get your glasses on, Gav. At number 1, we've got 2000. So the first wettest October in 1950 is 2000. Winter 2000-2001 in some ways is quite similar to 2020-2021. Actually, that's why I've got that in mind, because, you know, it has the blocking signal to the north, it has the trough of low pressure underneath it. It is a really quite a cold winter for Scotland with quite a lot of snow. For England and Wales, again, it's a little bit on off. There are cold snaps that come and go, but it isn't consistently cold. However, for the period, it is one of the winters that stand out as being a little bit colder, even down south. Right, let's put all that together then, and this is how all Decembers are combined, are looking following the top 10 warmest Octobers. Generally unsettled and mild signal for those Decembers, with low pressure elongating through Europe. All January's combined following the top 10 wettest October's places a trough of low pressure over top of coast. It's very unsettled. We do strengthen the blocking seal, but possibly not strong enough really to entrench cold air into that trough of low. So it looks as though the January is overall favouring quite a mild and wet outcome too. And the Februaries aren't much better if you want a cold outcome either. We do see a little blocking up to the north, but really it's still the low pressure that's in control from the Atlantic. So a mild and wet signal for all three of the winter months there. Bear in mind there are exceptions to this, you know. So we've got 1968 in the mix. That did have some cold weather in January and February. And, you know, as far as December is concerned, got 1976 in the mix, which was a cold December. But when you average it all out, it looks like it's relatively mild and wet signal for these winters. That's how all winters combined are looking, following the top 10 wettest Octobers, again placing that deep trough of low pressure over the west of Europe. So a generally mild, wet, unsettled signal for many of those winters, with one or two exceptions. Thanks to show the Shrine for getting together all of those years for us. Right, we're going to move on, have a look at sea surface temperature. I'm going to have a little break there, but I've got so much to show you. We're just going to plough through, but there will be a break coming a little bit later on in the video. So the next thing to look at is sea surface temperature anomalies. So this is how the oceans were looking when we did last week's 8th update. Got our 4 areas of interest. Of course, got the North Atlantic over here. Got the ENSO region over there. We've got the North Pacific over here with a particular focus on the Northeast Pacific. And then the Indian Ocean is through there. Right, well, let's have a look at the latest. So that's how I was looking last week. This is how we're looking this week. Dealing with the ENSO region first of all. So we're seeing further strengthening of the El Nino signature, I think, through the central portion. So again, yes, you can see further strengthening has taken place through this central portion of the extra-Pacific Ocean. Over on the eastern side, what's happened over there? So not much change. Perhaps a slight cool down has taken place compared to last week through here, but not much in it. You know, all regions of the ENSO region, all regions of the extra-Pacific Ocean are showing that moderate to borderline strong El Nino signature. Now going north into the northern part of the Pacific Ocean. Again, that's how things were looking in this area last week. This is how things are looking as of this week. So we've seen a further weakening of the negative PDO, the cold PDO signature through here, but it's continuing to get ever weaker as El Nino is strengthening to the south of it. Still got a little bit of cooler average sea surface temperatures around here, but really not taking us very far. So overall, the northern Pacific, I think, is in a warming state at the moment, and we are losing, seemingly, that cold PDO signature that we had a few weeks back. Over in the Indian Ocean, the positive IOD signature continues, so it remains warmer than average through here over towards India and Asia. It remains cooler than average through here towards Indonesia. When the Indian Ocean splits in that way, that is a positive phase of the Indian Ocean dipole. And then we go into the North Atlantic. Remember, looking over here now. In a moment, we are actually going to go back all the way to 1985 and compare these this sea surface temperature anomaly that we've got. But that's where we're looking at the moment in the North Atlantic. So going forwards to present, I don't think there's been much change. Most areas are still warmer than average, especially through the tropical and subtropical Atlantic. Also up here to the south of Green, and perhaps a little bit cooler in the central region. It's not a tripole signature though. We would need to see it turning significantly cooler through this area really. Well, that's a little bit wrong. We need to see it turning significantly cooler through this area to get a tripole. If it went cooler there and was warmer there and warmer through here, then that would be a tripole. It isn't a tripole, just generally looking quite warm still in many parts of the North Atlantic. This is the 7-day change that we're currently seeing. So in the ENSO region, generally most areas have warmed, particularly in the central western portion through here. It's been a little bit, we haven't seen a little bit of cooling in some areas over on the eastern side, which backs up more or less what I was saying a moment ago. In the northern Pacific, actually, it looks like things have cooled a little bit in this northeastern corner, so maybe all isn't lost, that negative PDO situation. But around here, around Hawaii and whatnot, things have warmed there in the past 7 days. But over in the Indian Ocean, generally warming in most regions over there as well. And in the North Atlantic, many areas have cooled, especially in the central and northern region, although it has continued to warm over the past 7 days down towards the subtropical Atlantic and just to the south of Greenland as well. A little bit inconclusive with what's going on in the Atlantic there, I think. In terms of El Nino, this is how the SOI, the Southern Oscillation Index, is looking. Remember, the SOI is measuring air pressures between Tahiti in this column and Darwin in this column, and then making an overall SOI number for this column. And when you're negative with that, then the atmospheric setup, the air pressures between Tahiti and Darwin are reflecting El Nino, with an El Nino setup, where the SOI is positive between Tahiti and Darwin, the atmospheric setup is reflecting La Nina. So we can see with the numbers, they've been very negative really for much of the second half of October. I won't go through them, you can see them all for yourselves, really quite negative numbers. But in the last few days, over the past week, it has seen a little bit more to the neutral side of things, so a little bit less negative maybe with some of those numbers. But I think, the atmospheric setup and the ocean is still coupled, and so we are going to see the El Nino continue to strengthen, or at very least stay as strong as it currently is. The 30-day average has lifted up a little bit up here from where it was back in September. It was down around -14, now it's up to around -8. So it just tells us about the SY has backed off from its extreme level of negativity a little bit during October, but the atmospheric setup is still solidly reflective of El Nino. As far as CFSB2 forecast is concerned, this is how things are currently looking. So, got temperature noise on the side, and then we've got the dates in monthly periods on the bottom. So, CFS at the moment is still going for a strengthening of this El Nino event, actually up to taking it to a strong event by the end of the year. So, we're currently just here, kind of like borderline moderate to strong. The prediction is to take the El Nino up to around +2 Celsius in the central part of the actual precipitation by the end of the year. So that would get us well and truly into the strong category for El Nino, and then easing things off, possibly even hinting at La Nina by next summer. Of course, that's a very, very long way off. So it's both strengthening of El Nino predicted by CFSB2. Not sure about that. We might strengthen a little bit more, but I'll be surprised if it goes as high as like 2 degrees above average. We'll see about that. As far as region 1 and 2 is concerned, this is in the eastern portion. So still seeing a cooling there. So by the end of the year, predicted to be somewhere between around 1.5 degrees above average, comparing that to region 3-4. So that's still going for a Modoki El Nino. CFSB2 is still forecasting that this will become a central base Modoki El Nino, and again, just to explain that, so a central base Modoki El Nino means that it will be warmer through here, warmer through the central portion of the actual precipitation, and then the regions 1 and 2, the eastern portion, will be cooler then. When that happens, we call it a central base or Modoki El Nino. That can sometimes increase chance for cold winter for North America. Jury's a little bit out, I think, for Northern Europe, but we will have a look at El Ninos, including Modoki's, I think, in one of our updates still to come. Of course, connected to the sea surface temperature anomalies, particularly in the Atlantic, into 2023 Atlantic hurricane season. So this is the 2023 Atlantic hurricane season page from Wikipedia, and these are the scores on the doors. Miss Ford, wow. So we have had 21 total tropical depressions and 20 tropical storms. We've had 7 hurricanes and 3 major category 3 or above hurricanes. All those numbers are unchanged except for tropical depressions or total depressions. That is up 1. on last week. Reason being that Tammy, tropical storm, well, hurricane and then tropical storm Tammy, went post-tropical and then reanimated again. So I think that explains that. So total pressures is up 1, the rest are unchanged on last week. This is how our ACE is currently looking. So ACE Master Shryan has got this together for us. Remember, ACE, accumulated cyclone energy, is measuring the amount of energy each individual storm is emitting and then creating a total number for ACE, accumulated cyclone energy, for the entire season. The classification is below normal, near normal, above average, hyperactive. We can come all the way down to the current year, and 2023 shows that we are now at 145.00 for ACE, for accumulated cyclone energy, after 20 tropical storms, 7 hurricanes, and 3 major hurricanes. That is an above average season, not hyperactive. I think we need one more storm, major hurricane, category 3 or above, to get us into a hyperactive season. So we're not that far away from a hyperactive season, but we're just a bit short of it. So we are well ahead of last year. 2022 had 95.10 for ACE. We're very much close to 2021, actually, which had 145.56. But you see, 2020, our last hyperactive season, that had 180.37 for ACE. So I think I'd get to about 160, 170, something like that, to get a hyperactive season, which is still doable, actually, because we've still got November to go. You can sometimes get big storms in November, but at the moment we're just a little way short of a hyperactive season, but nevertheless it is above average, which, as explained, is unusual for an El Nino year. Right, okay, thanks so much to the ACE Master Shryan for that. We'll keep you updated, of course, in our future updates. Right, we're going to do a comparison next. So I tell you what, to make this easier for me, I'm going to start closing down some of the previous tabs. Just hold on, everybody can talk amongst yourself. I would have done this if I paused the video, so I should have a little break, shouldn't I? Close some of these down, never mind. Here we go. Okay, right, so now we're going to do a comparison. And I want you to focus on the Atlantic. So this is where we're looking at just here. When we did this last time, which was back in September, we established that the Atlantic is basically as warm as it has been, in terms of sea surface temperature, all the way back to 1985. Let's see how we're comparing, though, now. So that is where we're focused. I know it's tempting, because it's more central, to look at the Pacific, but please try and just focus over here. That's where we want to look at, into the North Atlantic. Of course, you can, watch it repeated and have a look at the Pacific as well, if you want to, but I want to focus on the North Atlantic. Okay, so this is how we compare to last year, to 2022. I think overall the Atlantic is in a warmer state still this year than it was in 2022. That is 2021. What do you think about that one? Again, we're warmer this year than we was in 2021. We're warmer this year than in 2020 as well, quite clearly. That's 2019. We are warmer than that year as well. That is 2018 once more. We can see we're significantly warm with the Atlantic this year than we was in 2018. And that is 2017. What do you make about, and again, significantly warmer this year than in 2017. That is 2016. Again, we can see much warmer this year than at this point in 2016. Whoops, what have I done there? Okay, so that didn't work out, did it? Okay, right, I'm going to have to pause the video and get those comparison years back up again. Hold on, everybody. Okay, there we go. I've got them back. So, here we go again. We got to 2016, didn't we? Before I messed it up. And these things happen, don't they? Especially when you have like 100 tabs or something. A crazy open like I do for these winter updates. Anyway, we've got to 2016. Established up to 2016. Currently, the Atlantic, there's no year up to 2016, or back to 2016, that is as warm as the Atlantic currently is, with a sea surface temperature on. Right, so So there's 2016, and yes, again, just established we were this year about at this point in 2016. That's 2015. Notice the cold blob in 2015. We thought that was starting to be cold AMO, but turned out it definitely wasn't. So no comparison this year with sea surface temperature anomalies in the Atlantic to 2015. That is 2014. Again, no comparison. There's the cold blob again in 2014, and there's no comparison this year. Much more this year, 2014. That's 2013. Again, no comparison. The cold blob was beginning to get going at this point in 2013, and what a false storm that was for the cold AMO fans. That's 2012. Again, no comparison to 2012. Notice a little bit of a tripole in 2012. I did a little bit of a tripole at this point in 2012. It's warmer down here, it's cooler through here, it's warmer up here. That's a little bit more what we're looking for sort of a tripole signature, but much more this year, in all regions of the Atlantic compared to 2012. That's 2011. Again, no comparison this year. That is 2010. Again, we see a tripole here before the December to remember. Warm down here, cooler through here, and then warmer up there. Overall, the Atlantic this year is warmer to 2010, but 2010 had a better tripole signature. That's 2009. Again, no comparison at all. Notice at this point in 2009, it's starting to get rather cold towards Newfoundland, which is always quite interesting to see. Warmer through here, and then the warmth going back through here. So an unexpected sort of tripole was starting to pick up. Wasn't expecting it, but an unexpected tripole was starting to get going at this point in October 2009. Definitely no comparison anyway this year. That is 2008. Again, no comparison. This point in 2008, that's 2007. Again, there's just no comparison to be made, really. That's 2006. No comparison once more. That's 2005, 2004, 2003, 2002, 2001, 2000. Notice further back again, the colder the Atlantic is getting. So this is 2000. That's phenomenally wet autumn. Again, notice how much warmer the Atlantic is now compared to this point in 2000. Going further back, though, to 1999, to 1998, to 1997. So at this point, we did have a pretty good tripole in 1997. Look at this, warmer through here and round here, and then cooler through there. I reckon that would have been a cold winter in 97, 98 if it hadn't been for the Super Nino. Notice the Super Nino over here, and I reckon that's what put the mockers on us getting a cold winter for 97, 98. But again, come back to this year, what we're here for, no comparison whatsoever. That is 1996, 1995, 1994, 1993. Now we're back into the cold AMO era, and you see the Atlantic looking so much colder then compared to what it looks like now. That's 1990. That was one of the warmer years with the cold AMO, but again, absolutely no comparison to the current sort of scenario. That's 89, that's 88, that's 87. How much cold there is in North Atlantic in 1987, 1986, and lastly 1985, and once again there is no comparison. So still, we established this in September, but still we can say that the Atlantic at the moment is as warm in terms of sea surface temperature as it has been at any point back to 1985, and probably well beyond that. You probably had to go back into the last warm AMO era through the 1940s, 1930s, 1940s, 1950s, you know. But anyway, that's the first section of this night winter update done and dusted. We'll be back shortly with solar data. I'm going to have a little break there, but we'll be back shortly. Talk to you half an hour. Wow. I've still got comparisons to do for Eurasian Solar Cover. That's later on in the video. Right, have a little pause there. You stretch your legs, digest what you're seeing, and we'll be back in 2 seconds with solar data. See you very soon. Okay, we're back and we're ready to resume an epic 9th winter 2023-2024 update from GavsWeatherVids. What an update it has been so far. We have gone through sea surface temperature anomaly maps all the way back to 1985. We've established that the Atlantic is as warm as it has ever been up to or back to 1985. We've still got so much more to show you, though. Thank you so much, Richard, for our incredible winter updates gift. Thank you so much, my friend. And now we're going to bring you solar data. So, this is how solar data is looking on our side of this day from solarham.net. We have got a very small number of sunspot regions, not that many of them, very, very quiet solar activity considering we are close to solar maximum. So solar activity is at very low levels as reported by Solarham and is expected to remain at very low levels for the next 2 or 3 days. Mr. GavsWeatherVids Winter 2023-2024 update solar activity tracker updated by Shryan. Shryan has updated this for us, and again we can see from the orange line and orange spots that we are at a low level of sunspot numbers at the moment. So compared to where we was back at the start of October, up here, we are now down here with our daily sunspots. We are not all that far away from going spotless with this. So could we get, you know, a day or two without any sunspots over the next week or so? Be interesting to see if that was to happen. But you can see from the red line, which is the 7-day average, that is absolutely cratered from where it was up here down to there. We've also got our 30-day average, which is the thick green line, that is dropping as well. The 60-day average, that moves around much less, but that is also beginning to tick down a little bit too. To get a proper drop with that, we've got to have you know, another week or two of low activity. But yeah, you can see we are now at the lowest level of activity around here, probably since we was back at the end of last year, actually. Going to go back to about a year when we was at this kind of level. But so activity. If we should drop any further, so if we drop down to there, then we would be at our lowest level of activity that we've been at, you know, really since the first half of 2022. So all very interesting, and we'll keep monitoring that, of course. Make sure to shrine for the tracker. This is from Richard. This is showing spotless days and the current spotless stretch. So the current, despite being at a low level of activity, as we just established with the tracker, we still are having every single day with sunspots. So the current spotted stretch is 0 days, given that we are getting a small number of sunspots at the moment. And for 2023 so far, at 0 days for spotless days. So again, every day this year so far has had sunspots. In 2022, we had 1 day that didn't have a sunspot. That was less than 1% of the year. Our comparable year is 2012. Our comparable year, so cycle 24, and every day in 2012 had sunspots. So if we was to get a day, or you know, a couple of days or something without sunspots in the next week or so, then that would actually be a deviation from the comparable year in 2012 in solar cycle number 24. So quite interesting what's going on there, and of course we are going to keep you updated with solar activity. It always forms a big part of our updates. Richard tells me that we might, Richard's been working out and calculating, Richard's been telling me that we might actually see solar maximum occurring next year, not in 2025 as we're expecting. It's possible that solar maximum could take place in 2024, which would imply from this low level we will get a ramp up as we go through into next year, you know, another ramp up in activity. But that might be the maximum for the solar cycle. And when we do solar Sunday, which I think is probably going to be early in next year, so maybe around February, March time, I reckon we might be able to get the King of Swing, we might be able to get Rich to do a little presentation for us about that. So Rich, you up for it? You up for it, Rich? What do you think? And you know, explain why it could be 2024 and not 2025. But might be the solar maximum year. Anyway, thank you so much, Richard, and thank you so much to Shryan for the solar data. And it's going to be very interesting to see next week where solar activity goes with this, isn't it? Very, very interesting. Thanks so much to Richard and Shryan. Okay, let's have a look at the QBO then. So again, just to confirm, the easy phase of quasi-Bayesian oscillation is well and truly established. So this is from NASA. This is topic atmosphere at 10 HPA. This is 30 to 50 HPA, boundary level of the atmosphere, that called the Stratospheric. And you can see that the easterly QBO has ascended from from the Strat down into the Trop. And so, yes, we will have an GWV Winter into 2023-24 next week. This is from NOAA. This is showing every QBO month number for the QBO by every month back to the 1950s. And next week we should have October's QBO number placed just here. So we will bring you that next week, and I reckon next week we might even do some easterly QBO analogues. How does that sound? So I know a lot of you have been waiting for that to see what winters with an easterly QBO can come out like, and next week for the 10th update, I reckon that's what our analogues package will focus on. We'll see. Right, Arctic oscillation observed and forecast. Next, so the black line shows where we've been with the AO. The red lines of the airweb GFS ensembles are forecasting the Arctic oscillation to go. We're currently weekly negative with the Arctic oscillation, and the GFS ensembles are forecasting that the Arctic oscillation is going to stay generally in a weekly negative phase as we push on into the middle and the second half of November. So that tells us about there is a bit of a blocking. So remember, it's always weather that's driving the index. So if you're negative with the AO, then you've got some sort of level of blocking, and how much blocking you've got will determine how negative you go with the AO. So we're not that negative, so the blocking isn't overly strong, but there definitely is some blocking within the Arctic that's forcing the AO into a weekly negative state. The NAO has been in a long-term negative state as well. So you can see from the black line that the NAO is actually negative through most of the summer, went positive, quite strongly positive through early September, and they've been negative ever since, really. The current position for the NAO is that we're weak negative, and again, the GFS ensembles are forecasting that the NAO will stay weak negative through the first half up to the middle of November. So with both the AO and the NAO in a weekly negative state, that could be a signal for colder weather as we go further on into November, especially if we was to strengthen the negativity of the AO. If the AO was to start to go even more negative, so if the blocking signal was to strengthen even more in combination with a negative NAO, then I reckon that might be a signal for some colder weather later in November. Watch your space on that. Strat data next. So this is our temperature is currently looking at 10 HPA over the North Pole in the stratosphere. This, of course, is coming from the JMA. So the black line is the temperature this year, and the grey line is like trend average, and you see we've been very close to average throughout the season so far. We did go a little bit below average a few days ago, now ticked up to be a little bit above average. It's not a big deviation. That black line is very, very close to the grey line, telling us that temperatures are not far from normal at 10 HPA. If we go a little bit low down to 30 HPA, you see it's a very similar story there. Again, we did go a bit colder than average at 30 HPA about a week ago. Now we've tipped back up close to average. We aren't deviating all that far from long-term averages. So sometimes the black line can like do a bungee jump, the black line go down here. There's no sign of anything like that going on at the moment. So the temperature at 10 HPA is very, very close to where it's expected to be. This is why the GFS is forecasting temperatures to pan out at 10 HPA over the next couple of weeks. So the blue colours here, these are the polar vortex and its roots, cold temperatures in the stratosphere at its roots at 10 HPA. They're hovering around minus 68, something like that, minus 65, minus 68, which as we've established here. Let's go back to it. We've established here, no, that's about average. Minus 68 is about average at 10 HPA. Right, anyway, let's run through. And you see nothing overly dramatic going on. Maybe a little bit of a cool down taking place toward the Canadian side and the Greenland side, I should say, of the Arctic. Perhaps going down to around minus 17, minus 72. That would be a little bit colder than average. But over the pole itself, still hovering around minus 68, which is about where I expect to be. And into the extended range as well. How are things looking then? So maybe signs that things get a little bit colder then. Go down to around minus 72 as we get into to the second week of November. So yeah, possibly going a little bit colder, down to under -17 when we get into the middle of November. On the scale, though, let's go back to 10 HPA just here. What would that mean on the scale? So it wouldn't be that far from average. You see, you know, this is November to December here, so you see middle of November, you expect to be somewhere under -70, somewhere around -72, -73, something like that. So again, not deviating all that far from average. Nothing overly dramatic going on at the moment with both temperatures at 10 HPA. This is from the GWV. This is the mean zone of wind forecast for the extended range for the next 6 weeks. This is quite interesting. So the zone of wind is currently very close to average as well, along with those temperatures, and is forecast to go a little bit weaker than average, actually, over the next few days. Then the zone of wind is forecast to strengthen, though, as we go into the early part of November. So despite the temperature, remember, the zone of wind is like depicting the strength of the polar vortex. So, but we see the polar vortex through the temperature for those cold temperatures at 10 HPA in the stratosphere. That's a depiction of the polar vortex itself, but the strength of the polar vortex is indicated via the zone of wind. And we actually see that despite the temperature being quite close to average at 10 HPA through the early part of November, the zone of wind, though, is going to strengthen and become really quite strong. Might even become record-breakingly strong sometime through the first week to the second week of November there. So that tells us that the polar vortex will be powering up in the stratospheric level anyway as we go into early November. But let's go into the second half of November and early December. Look what's happening then. Look at all these ensemble members here from the ECM plume that are going for either a dramatic weakening or a reversal of zone of wind. So if these are all going for a reversal of zone of winds, and that would be via a sudden stratospheric warming. There are the ensemble members that are doing that. These ones here, though, are going for a weakening of zone of winds. And there are several that are doing that as well. So it looks like late November, early December, something quite significant could be starting to happen there within a lot of those ensemble plume members. That compares to last week when we hardly had any ensemble plume members going for reversal of zone of wind. Just that strata just bare. Not that many of them going for a weakening either. You know, so definitely the ECM ensemble appears to be picking up on some sort of stratospheric development there at the end of November into the beginning of December. Could we get an early SSW? This is a 10 HPA temperature forecast in terms of the temperature anomaly in the stratosphere. Though again, the current temperature anomaly is actually a little bit above average in the North Atlantic and around towards Siberia, but cold and average towards the Canadian side of the Arctic. Now, as we go over the next few weeks, so nothing much happens in week 2 or in week 3 or in week 4, although a modest warming begins to appear towards Siberia in week 4. That's the 20th, 27th of November. But look what happens into week 5. That strengthens a lot toward the Siberian side of the Arctic. And check out week 6. This is before to the 11th of December. Could that be an SSW going on there? That does look quite impactful. Because it's an anomaly, we can't say that that is an SSW. But from what happens in week 4 to week 5 to week 6, that does look really quite significant and very unusual for so early on in winter. That is before to the 11th of December, remember. So if we was looking at that, you know, in January or February, then it wouldn't be quite so unusual. But for that early on in the winter, that is quite an unusual development. So I think I keep a close eye on what's happening stratosphere-wise. We went through season models last week, and a lot of them were indicating some sort of, you know, or hinting at the chance of some sort of warming event taking place, perhaps quite early on in this winter. The ECM looks like it might be hinting at that, not necessarily necessarily an SSW. I won't go that far. Again, we can't say that because those are anomalies rather than an actual temperature forecast. But that does look quite significant. So let's see where things go. That could be a big twist as we come into the final update or two for our winter update. Right, back to the analog. So we're going to look at the CT next. Central temperature, as I'm recording this video, is at 12.5, which is about 2 degrees above average. We're expecting that to be somewhere close to 12.2 by the end of the month. And so we're going to be looking at winters following October's with a CT range of 11.6 to 12.8. That is an unusually large range, but we've had to do it that large because a smaller range would actually lead just to a small number of years to go at. So this time, unfortunately, we've had to have quite a big range. So we're looking at winters following October with a CT range of 11.6 to 12.8. First winter is 1954-1955. This is a cold winter with high pressure in the North Atlantic going towards Greenland, low pressure across Northwest Europe, winds in from the northeast. That has a mild December in 1954, but a cold January and February. Then we've got winter of 1959-1960, which is a mild and wet winter. After the long hot summer of 1959, we go mild and wet. Then we've got 1968-1969, that's another cold winter. Following October, CT range of 11.6 to 12.8. This one we're blocking towards Greenland and low pressure is underneath. It has a very cold February and a white Christmas in 1968. Generally wet and milder January though. We've got 78-79, another cold winter. This is very cold winter actually. Low pressure digging southwards, high pressure blocking around Greenland. It's a winter discontent, bringing the wind from the east, so very cold. Last time I had a sub-zero CT January actually was in 1979. Very cold and snowy winter that one. We've got 1990-1991. This is another cold winter. Bet was expecting this, was she, everyone? 1990-1991 with winds in from the east. So has the famous Midland snowstorm in December of 1990. A cold and frosty January, and then brutal cold is unleashed in the first half of February 1991 with a severe freeze-up. And we've got another cold winter following on from that. We've got 1995, 1996. See how these warm Octobers can sometimes be followed by cold winters. So this one, again, blocking up towards Scandinavia, low pressure south, very easterly winter, this one. Very, very easterly winds on and off. Wasn't continuously cold, but, regularly calm and often bringing snow from the east. Now we've got a mild winter. We've got 2011-2012. Very, very cold winter across Eastern Europe, though. High pressures out in the Atlantic. Jet stream digging southwards like that. So we do get one cold spell in February 2012, but otherwise that's a milder winter. 2013-14 is back. We saw it in the earlier set. It's back again. This one's very wet and stormy winter and also very mild. We've got 2014-2015. This one's about average for temperatures with low pressure to the north, high pressure to the south and southwest, winds in. I think that's a few cold snaps, but a bit of a forgettable winter. They've got the big sunny east winter. So this is 2017-2018, trough of low pressure over to the east of the country, high pressure is away to the north, winds in from the northeast. So that one, of course, gets the cold late. It does have cold on and off before, but the cold really gets going second half of February when the beast is unleashed. We've got 2021-2022. This is a mild winter, rather dry, high pressure south, low pressure to the north. And then finally, we've got last winter, 2022-2023, with one of those bizarre 500 millibar high times that we tend to get a lot these days, with just, reaching all over the place and very difficult to decipher what's going on. Generally quite a dry and mild-ish winter, but with some cold snaps here and there as well for 2022-2023. Right, putting all that together then, this is how all Decembers combined are looking following October's with a CT range of 11.6 to 12.8, and we find a trough of low pressure is set up over the top of UK and West Europe, so a wet signal for those Decembers. That's all January's combined, so we get a strengthened blocking signal with high pressure generally to the north, low pressure is over to the south, because that's very close to being a cold January actually being favoured there. And that's all February's combined. Again, blocking signal to the north from Greenland up towards Scandinavia. Low pressure centre perhaps more towards the south of the country. I reckon January and February could have cold potential there, actually, with these, especially the earlier years, maybe less so for the later years. So anything from like 2011 onwards, I think it isn't as good for cold. But before that, from the 1950s into the 1990s, I think definitely you would get a strong cold signal out of those years, but it's less so for the more recent years. And this is how all winters combined are looking following October. The acidity range of 11.6 to 12.8. Overall unsettled, trough of low pressure across West Europe. There is a blocking signal. I reckon January and February holds out cold potential with quite a few of those years. December less so. Right, we've talked for 50 minutes. We've still got Eurasian snow cover to go, so I reckon this is going over the hour mark. I thought that would probably happen, and I think it's going to. So we're going to have a little break there. When we come back, we're going to show you Eurasian snow cover data. So hang around, and we've got the last section of this 9th update still to come. Okay, we're back with the epic 9th Winter 2023-24 update from GavsWeatherVids. If you've enjoyed the video so far, it's been an epic. If you've enjoyed it so far, please like, share, subscribe. This is unique content. You cannot see this anywhere else on the internet. Nowhere else online goes as in-depth as we do at GavsWeatherVids. Thank you so much to Shrine Brim for the set of analogs that we're just looking at. By the way, the analog years, getting those together for the October CT data. Thank you so much to Richard for our amazing Winter updates gift. Thanks so much, Richard Shaw. Right, we're going to look at Eurasian snow cover for the last section of this update. So this is how Eurasian snow cover was looking when we did last week's 8th update, and that was it. So how do we compare to that in 3, 2, 1? Here we go. And look at that. A massive gain has taken place in terms of Siberian and Russian snow cover. We've actually pushed the snow line into the east, the far east of Europe there. Unbelievable. Snow line into Belarus and into some of the Baltic Sea states as well. In terms of the Scandinavian snow cover, there has been an increase in snow cover up there as well. Rather more modest, but, you know, a little bit of an increase in snow cover is taking place over Scandinavia. But it really is across Russia that the dramatic developments have taken place. So over the past week, a massive gain in snow cover across Russia and Siberia. How does that compare to years going back to 1966? Let's have a look. So this is last year. So we are now ahead of last year for both Russia and also Scandinavian snow cover. That is 2021. We're ahead of 2021 for Russian and also for Russian snow cover, probably closely matched to Scandinavian snow cover. That is 2020. We're ahead of 2020 for Russian snow cover and probably quite closely matched, a little bit behind Scandinavian snow cover. That is 2019. We're ahead of 2019 for Russian and Scandinavian snow cover. That is 2018. We're ahead of 2018 for Russian and Scandinavian snow cover. That is 2017. Very similar developments actually in the last week of October in 2017 to this year. Now we're probably quite closely matched for Russian snow cover this year and a little bit behind maybe the Scandinavian snow cover. Please let me know in the comments which years you think we're closest to with these charts. That's 2016, so ahead of 2016 for Russian and Scandinavian snow cover. We're also ahead of 2015 as well. That is 2014. So I want to make a bat one. We're probably quite close to 2014 for Russian snow cover and European snow cover. Probably a little bit behind for Scandinavian snow cover. That is 2013. We're ahead of 2013 for Russian snow cover and also I think for Scandinavian snow cover as well. That's 2012. Very similar developments in the last week of October 2012, I should say, to this year. So notice at this point, we actually got snow all the way into Germany at this point in 2012. So we're actually a little bit behind for Eurasian snow cover and also for Scandinavian snow cover. But there was a massive gain in snow cover in both Russia and also Europe and Scandinavia in the last days of October 2012. And it's kind of reminiscent to what we're seeing this year. That's 2011. We're well ahead of 2012 2011 for both Russian and Scandinavian snow cover. That's 2010. Again, we're well ahead of that year for Russian and Scandinavian snow cover. That's 2009, well ahead for Russian snow cover, and probably quite closely matched for Scandinavian snow cover. No comparison to 2008 either. I think 2012 is the year we're closest to, but please let me know in the comments which year you think we're close to. That's 2007, again, way ahead of that for both Russian and Scandinavian snow cover. That's 2006, again, we're ahead of that year, certainly for Russian snow cover, and 2005, we are well ahead of that year too. That's 2004, we're ahead of that for both Russian and Scandinavian snow cover. That's 2003. And what do you make of that? We're probably quite close now, maybe even a little bit behind 2003 for Russian snow cover, maybe a little bit ahead both for Scandinavian snow cover. That's 2002. So at this point, snow line was beginning to die back after it had been, you know, way into Western Europe through most of October 2002. It's actually beginning to die back. So at this point, probably ahead of 2002, certainly for Russian snow cover. That's 2001. Again, quite perhaps a little bit ahead of 2001, certainly for Scandinavian snow cover. 2000, again, we're way ahead of that, both Russian and also Scandinavian snow cover. 1999, so way ahead of that year as well. And then 1998, we are well ahead of 1998 too. Finally, we'll have a look at the year back 1966 on a weekly basis, so week 44 of 1997. We won't compare every year, so just keep this at your mind, kind of turn it upside down, if you get me. Basically, keep in mind that we've got the snow cover into the far east of Europe now, so we won't compare, you know, because it takes too long. So for 1997, we're ahead of 1997 for Russian and Scandinavian snow cover. For 1996, we're ahead of that, definitely for Russian snow cover, probably quite close to match Scandinavian snow cover. 1995 could be quite close, actually, for Russian snow cover, and maybe, though, behind for Scandinavian snow cover. 1994, probably quite close to that one, maybe a little bit ahead for Russian snow cover. 1993, we're ahead of that year for Russian and Scandinavian snow cover. We're also ahead of 1992 as well. 1991, we're ahead for Scandinavian snow cover, probably quite close for Russian snow cover. We're ahead of 1990 for both Russian and Scandinavian snow cover. 1989, we're ahead of that for Russian snow cover, probably quite close to Scandinavian snow cover. Way ahead of 1988, no comparison. Way ahead of 1987, no comparison. We're ahead of 1986 for both Russian and Scandinavian snow cover, and we're also ahead of 1985 too for Russian and Scandinavian snow cover, as we are 1984, as we are 1983, as we are 1982 as well, I think, and 1981. We're doing really well now, doing really well for snow cover. Massive gains, as you can see, in the past week, guys. So I hope so much you've enjoyed this ninth update. We're nearly at the end now. 1980, we're ahead of that year for Russian snow cover, probably behind though for Scandinavian snow cover. We're ahead of 1979, and I think we're ahead of 1978 for Russian snow cover, but probably quite closely matched to Scandinavian snow cover. 1977, we are ahead of that year for Russian snow cover now, probably quite close to Scandinavian snow cover. 1976, probably quite close to the current scenario, we're probably a little bit behind even Scandinavian snow cover. 1975, we're ahead of that year, and we're ahead of 1974, certainly for Russian snow cover, maybe a little bit behind though Scandinavian snow cover. 1973, we are behind that year for Russian and European snow cover, as Scandinavian snow cover too. 1972, probably behind that year slightly. 1971, we're ahead of that year. 1970, we are ahead of that year, certainly for Russian snow cover. 1969 is back this week, and I think we're probably probably a little bit behind that year overall for Russian and Scandinavian snow cover, but perhaps not much in it for Russian snow cover. Then 1968, so we're probably a bit ahead of that for Russian snow cover. That's quite closely matched, and behind for Scandinavian snow cover. 1967, we are ahead of for Russian and Scandinavian snow cover. And finally, last year, 1966, could be quite close to the current situation for Russian snow cover, just getting into far east of Europe, but a little bit behind the Scandinavian snow ENSO cover. Please let me know in the comments which year you think we are closest to, and thank you so much everybody for doing that. And the same with the sea surface temperature in the Atlantic. I think that's pretty clear cut that there's no year that is as warm as we currently are in the North Atlantic. Right, that's it, man. So actually we did get that under an hour. Wow. I thought we'd be going over an hour with that, but I managed to get through within the hour. So another update just on the periphery of the 1 hour mark. I hope you've enjoyed the video. It's unique content, as I keep saying. You can't see this anywhere else online. So you have enjoyed it, please do you like, share and subscribe. Maybe consider giving us a little donation, possibly through Super Thanks or through PayPal, and perhaps buy yourself a little bit of merch at the same time. Thank you so much everybody for doing that, and spread the word about GavsWeatherVids. Tell your friends and family about the work that we're doing here. And spread the word. Tell your friends and family, please, to subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much to Richard and to Shrine for all of the help on this epic night winter 2023-24 update. And when we begin next week's 10th update, you will see how this ninth update has affected the swingometer. That will be the first thing that you'll see from our King of Swing, Richard, at the beginning of next week's 10th update. Can be live streaming at 6 p.m. So if you've got any questions about this winter update, please fire away on our live stream. We'll show you some long range with that, as well as doing a 10 to 14 day. And at 59 minutes, just under 1 hour, that's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again next week with more. That's all for now. Bye for now.